Skore has a new feature, a cross-validation report. It is quite similar to the estimator report that we mentioned in a previous video, but let's dive into some code to show how this cross-validation report can really save you a bunch of lines of code that you would otherwise have to write yourself. I'm back in a Jupyter notebook over here, and what you can see here is the estimator report that we've mentioned in a previous video. This report object that we're generating over here contains lots of useful metrics, and here's a few of them listed in the table below. However, the way that this estimator report works is it does assume that you've done your xtrain, xtest splitting beforehand. And for a lot of use cases, that's fine, but maybe you're interested in doing this with proper cross-validation instead. And that's where the new report comes in. And here's a good impression of what the new cross-validation report can generate. You load up the cross-validation report after importing it directly from Skore. You then give it an estimator, together with your features and your labels. And then you can specify how many splits you want to have to do proper cross-validation. You can also specify the parallelism. But one thing that's kind of nice here is that you get a lot of features out of the box for free without having to import a whole bunch of stuff. The labels that I've got over here indicate that I'm dealing with a binary classification use case, and the cross-validation report can immediately pick that up. It picks up that it's classification, and you can also see all the labels being listed down below here. I've scrolled down a bit now to show you this other thing that you can do with this. In this particular case, I'm really running the same thing, it's just that I'm using a histogram gradient boosted classifier instead. And you can see when I do that I get the exact same thing but for a different algorithm. This is no longer a logistic regression. But what's kind of cool here is that the output that I get back here is a normal pandas data frame. So if I want to start comparing pipelines and algorithms, I can do that by just concatenating these data frames on top of each other. And that is what I'm doing over here. I've got the metrics from my original report, I've got my metrics from the histogram variant, and when I properly scroll down, then you get a nice overview of different splits across different algorithms, and it all stacks up kind of nicely and as you would expect. This cross-validation report can definitely report on these metrics, but it also has a few charts up its sleeve. If you're interested in plotting the ROC curve, by the way, that is definitely built in. Do observe that it is kind of nice that if there is one test set that just performs very off, then you would be able to see that right away. And there's also other charts, of course, like this precision recall chart over here. I haven't shown you every single feature of the cross-validation report in the interest of time. But if you're interested in seeing an elaborate example, then do check out this guide that you can find on the docs. It goes into quite a bit of detail, and it also highlights a pretty practical use case with an actual dataset.